Well, good evening and welcome to the Hockenheimring for the Crest Autosport Raceroom League's DTM 2020 Championship for round 5 of this two-part series, and we're really getting into the latter stages of the championship now. The championship is sponsored by the GP Box, the online motorsport marketplace for motorsports merchandise and memorabilia, and our partners and affiliates below, 603 Autosport and Track Racer UK, as well as the prize givers for this championship, Free UK and lovely stickers. As we mentioned, Hockenheimring is our destination tonight, the Baden-Württemberg circuit in southwest Germany, 100 kilometers south of Frankfurt, 200 kilometers west of Nuremberg. Paired as Germany's most popular circuit with the Nürburgring, of course, but this layout we see of Germany today has been around since 2002, modelled from the former 4-mile layout, which stretched all the way into the forests around the circuit. The layout as it is today is almost a cut-in-half version of the old layout, with the notable DRS section being the long left-handed parabolica, still containing the iconic Mercedes arena towards the end of the lap. This track on Raceroom costs only £4.29 to purchase, has 14 turns, 9 to the right, 5 to the left, and hosted over the years Hockenheim, well, it's of course the popular venue for Formula 1, shared with the Nürburgring, but actually replaced Nürburgring after Niki Lauda's near-fatal accident in the 70s. And in DTM terms, it has hosted pretty much every single year since DTM's formation all them years ago in the 80s. We have a lot of racing in store for you today. We have qualifying coming up in just over 5 minutes time, where it's a 10-minute blast to the front of the grid for these drivers, followed almost immediately by Heat 1, Race 1 at 5 minutes to the hour, which will be a 10-minute sprint race, where the grid is based on qualifying, of course, followed almost immediately by Race 2, Heat 2, another 10-minute sprint race, but this grid will be based on the results of Race 1, where the top 8 is reversed. So if you finish 8th in Race 1, you'll start pole for Race 2. We'll have a quick interval in between the races of Race 2 and 3, and then we'll be back for the feature race, which is a 30-minute race where triple the duration also means triple the points. Yes, you heard that right. Triple points on offer for the feature race coming up later today. And the grid there is also based on qualifying, so there's not just one race to worry about in qualifying, there's 2. And it started off all them weeks ago near the new year. This is a two-part series where the drivers are either taking part in the 2020s or the 92s, or both. But we started off all them weeks ago in the 92 category at Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, which followed a week later by the opening round of the 2020s, also at Brands Hatch. Round 2 of the 92s took place at Zandvoort. Round 2 of the 2020s took place at Ostschleben. Round 3 took place at Zolder in the 92s, and in the 2020s, round 3 took place at Lausitzring. Then it was reverse order. We started off with the 2020s 2 weeks ago at Salzburgring in Austria, and what a dramatic race that was 2 weeks ago. That was round 4, and round 4 of the 92s took place last week, and that was an eventful race on the streets of Norrisring. That was 1 week ago. Today we're here at the Hockenheimring for the penultimate round of the 2020s, and after today, drop rounds will be applied. Drop rounds are drivers' worst scores zeroed. Next week we'll be off to Czechia for the Autodrom Most circuit. We don't have Brno in Raceroom, so we have to compromise with Autodrom Most. And then in 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks today, will be the finale at the Nürburgring Arena on the 23rd of March. So do tune in 1 week today, 2 weeks today, sorry, to catch that. And then in 4 weeks today is the finale of the entire thing. The 92s will climax on the 6th of April at the Nordschleife Green Hell circuit. So there we go, the drivers are out on the circuit practicing ahead of this penultimate round of the season. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get underway. I'm sure you'll be wondering, what is the championship situation? Well, we'll tell you now, but first of all, a little bit of a reminder of what happened last time at Salzburgring 2 weeks ago. William Foyle took pole position with Jonas Lindberg, surprising us as he hasn't had the best of seasons. He's not racing tonight, unfortunately, but Jonas Lindberg took second on the grid at Salzburgring, with John Dowling taking third place. Jeff Perkins battled ferociously with William Foyle throughout Heat 1 and eventually took the win by making a move on the final lap. Mark Hayman rounded off in third. In Heat 2 was John Dowling's first win in Crest Autosport and first win of the season, of course. He took Heat 2 win, leading it almost from lights to finish without much to worry about. William Foyle, battling with many drivers out on track in Heat 2, managed to take second place just ahead of Jonas Lindberg, who had a bad Heat 1 but made up for it in Heat 2 by taking third. And then the feature race, William Foyle took the win, of course. He is the feature race master. He won it just ahead of Jeff Perkins and Mark Hayman, who the three of them battled all 30 minutes long in that race. A thrilling encounter. But what does that do to the championship? William Foyle still leads it away at the front, but not by much. It may be a near 70-point gap between him and Mark Hayman, but 70 points can easily be reeled in with a little bit of bad luck, and bad luck did hit William Foyle last week in the 92s with a disconnection in the final race, resulting in a DNF and a big loss of points, which we'll see overall shortly. But Mark Hayman in second, Jeff Perkins catching up slightly in third place there. He managed to get himself up to third place from fifth in the last round at Salzburgring and was our GP box driver of the day. Ben Payne, who was in third in the championship, drops to fourth after Salzburgring and only just ahead of Alex Foyle, who's followed by Paul Hans. Race winner 2 weeks ago, John Dowling in seventh place there, just ahead of Ian Deeney. For the championship there, the top 8 you can see there also decides what ballast they carry. So you can see the top 8 in the championship carry a range of ballast from 40 to 5, depending on where they are in the championship. This is what they'll carry through races 1 and 2. And then for the feature race, the ballast is based on qualifying results. So whoever qualifies on pole position here at Hockenheimring will have 40 kilos of ballast for the feature race later today. And we did mention there's an overall championship, so this is the two combined. So the drivers who do both the 92s and the 2020s are at the forefront of battling in this championship, but it is headed by William Foyle, 200 points, more than 200 points ahead of Jeff Perkins in second place. But as there's a lot of points on offer, there's plenty to lose and plenty to gain. And in case you're new to Raceroom, new to DTM, these are the kind of cars you're seeing tonight. Only two manufacturers in the form of the Audi and BMW. Both have the same horsepower of 580. Both are weighing the same and both have the same drivetrains. And just a little bit more housekeeping before we get underway for qualifying, which is in just over a minute's time. We have a lot of other championships coming up very soon on Raceroom, which have been announced. The most recent one, which is not a championship but a one-off event, we have the Crest Autosport Spa 50 event coming up on the 1st of May, with qualifying events and split 2 races taking place the week before. The Spa 50 event is 50 laps of the legendary Spa-Francorchamps circuit, featuring the WTCR cars on Raceroom. There will be many drivers entering that, including rumours of some star guests joining us in those races. It'll be broadcasted by myself and my friend and a very proclaimed commentator in Jake Sperry, so do tune in for that on the 1st of May. We also have a WTCR league coming up just after Spa 50, starting in mid-May, with 12 rounds on a tour of Europe in all of Raceroom's WTCR cars. We're about to get underway with qualifying very shortly. But quickest in practice was Alexander Foyle. It's not going to show us, but Alex Foyle had snuck into the lead of practice late on in that session, just ahead of Mark Hayman by a couple of tenths. So kudos to Alex Foyle to get in quickest in practice at the moment. Will surely benefit him in qualifying. 16 drivers in this server today, heading out on track now. We're looking at Alexander Jakobsen leaving the pits there. And out at the front of the train is Alex Foyle. Now, he did this at Salzburgering as well. He seems to be very eager to get himself out in front. He does not want anyone in front of him either holding him up or giving him a tow along. He seems to be happy without it. But cold tyres, you can see, coming onto the Parabolica there for Alex Foyle. A little bit slippery and slidey on the rear end. Flat out down this long Parabolica and a little bit of a straight section, 270 kilometers an hour before braking into the first gear hairpin, the Spitzke. William Foyle, our championship leader, near the front there. He has got Jamie Dory and Alexander Jakobsen in front of him. In fact, Jamie Dory, a bit of a mention to him. He drove in the 92s last week, had a lot of bad luck, but fancied himself at the 2020s, and it's not gone well so far for him. As you can see, there's spin on the outlap. But also Alex Ward joins us this week in the 2020s. He also introduced himself to the world last week. A race winner, I believe, in the feature race last week. Any returning faces? Hayman Navalov had a week off last week from the 92s. He's back this week. He was very strong in the first half of the season, but the second half of the season hasn't been quite on par compared to his usual self. Let's see if he can make up for it as we get into the latter part of this championship. Only 2 rounds to go in both the 92 and the 2020, so if you're going to score big points, it needs to be now. But we were going to go on board with William Foyle. Let's go on board with second in the championship, because we rarely do have an on board with him. It is Mark Hayman. So DRS open as he comes onto the front straight into the Nord curve. Nice and wide on the exit there, using the runoff as we head towards the Einvart Parabolica. Braking just after the 100 sign. Nice early turn in. Might have locked up a little bit there. It wasn't the most optimal of entries into the corner, but gets onto the Parabolica with DRS open again. Passes the slow running Jürgen Mansby Pedersen, I think, just then. All the way up past 270 kilometers an hour, just below 280, braking into the Spitzke. First gear. DRS open into second gear along the gears. And we'll come into the arena, the first of 2. The chicane built in 2001, where the track was redesigned. Oh, and Mark Hayman getting very, very sideways coming out of the chicane there. We'll come towards the Mobile 1 curve. This will probably not be Mark Hayman's best lap, but it's a tour of the track nonetheless. Into the Mercedes arena we go, through the sash curb now. A long left-hander, slightly banked into the slight chicane here, into the Sud curve now. A little bit of a hit that first curve, don't run too wide onto that slippery drag strip, and then onto the start-finish. And we'll come across the line, much slower than Alex Foyle, but there were a lot of mistakes on that lap from Mark Hayman, but it's the 2 Foyles up top at the moment. One of them being Alex Foyle, who's running slow on the Parabolica there, is going to try another lap, speeding things up as Madsby Pedersen comes past in 10th at the moment. Just going to go back through the records and see who has got the best record when it comes to qualifying so far this season. The most pole positions has been William Foyle, who's had definitely the best qualifying record. He's got pole position at Brands Hatch, Oschersleben, and 2 weeks ago at Salzburgring. Second place at Lauschitzring, which he lost to Mark Hayman. But them two have been the ones to beat in qualifying so far. Today, right now, it's Alex Foyle as it stands, with just over half the session to go. We're watching Ole Jansen here. Ole Jansen is doing very well in the 92s. 12th in the championship here in the 2020s. But in the 92s, he's second in the championship, so that's the one he really does care about most by the seams of it. And at this point, he's definitely going to take greater care in the 92s. But overall points still to be won. And Jansen with his record in the 92s will surely be up for that. Mark Hayman gets himself into third place there as he comes onto his third lap. Into third, 0.4 of a second off Alex Foyle, who's in the pits. Seems to think he's done enough, I presume. Now William Foyle is on an out lap or an invalidated lap, so nothing from him just yet. Look at Ian Deeney, he was very quick in practice. A green first sector, but is not near the foils just yet as he comes into the hairpin. Alexander Jakobsen with a very impressive 5th place there at the moment. Alexander Jakobsen, who's had a bit of an up and down season. He's had some good results here and there, but a few non-appearances and a spin in the chicane there has made him quite far down in the championship rankings, unfortunately for him. But there's no doubting his pace. Sporadically can put in a good shift, can Jakobsen. Ian Deeney, always a threat. Actually going pretty quick now as he completed Sector 2. Through Sector 3, he's really pushing that car to its limits round the sash curve there. Into the chicane. Got to be super careful through these corners as he comes into the final 2 corners here. Got to make this one big turn. The source of much drama in the 2019 F1 visit here. And across the line we go. It's pretty quick from Ian Deeney, but still puts him 3rd place, just ahead of Mark Hayman. Still 0.3 of a second off of the foils. Jamie Dory with a purple 2nd sector with a bit of a draft in front of him from, that might be Ben Payne. Cross the line, purple sector. Jamie Dory goes from 10th to 3rd. 2.5 off of the foils still, but a pretty good lap from Jamie Dory in his debut to the 2020s. William Foyle with a purple 1st sector. Got his brother to contend with at the moment. Alex Foyle, who's still in the pits, seems to think, yep, that will do, as he creeps into the 130s. But William Foyle on a purple 2nd sector. This is incredible from the Brit here. The exiled DTM champion, I might remind you, so he knows a thing or two about driving these cars. But the man he was battling in that championship is the man he's battling in this championship, Mark Hayman. He's the man he's got his eyes on. But if he can get himself into pole position, that'll help a lot in terms of today's progress. Across the line he goes. Sector 3, green. That puts him 2nd place still. He's so close. 17 thousandths of a second behind his brother, and it's not enough to get him in pole position. A real good Sector 3 by the looks of it from Alex Foyle has kept him in pole position at the moment. William Foyle has time for one more lap if he can hook it up here. John Dowling, the winner of race 2 last time out at Salzburgring, only manages 11th at the moment. William Foyle at the end of Sector 1 is purple. Ian Deeney has got himself back into 3rd place ahead of Jamie Dory. Knocks Mark Hayman down to 5th. Along, approaching the end of Sector 2. William Foyle, he's got a good chicane here. It's sort of a chicane. Through he goes. Oh, maybe a bit too wide there. The power was down a lot later than usual there for William Foyle. Pushing extremely hard. Let's see how he gets on. No, it's slower, but he's still not far off. He needs a good Sector 3 here if he wants to get into pole position. It doesn't do anything points-wise, but certainly helps him get to the front and stay at the front. They may be brothers, they may be teammates, but this is competition between the 2 of them. Around the final corner he goes. Navalov gets himself up to 7th place across the line. It's a purple 3rd sector. Has it got him into pole position? It hasn't improved his time. William Foyle will stay 2nd place. This looks like a pole position for Alex Foyle. His first of the 2020s. Ian Deeney, by the looks of the split, can't really up Alex or William Foyle. Keeps himself 3rd. But a slightly improved time by the looks of it. Albin Kilgrain is still out on track. Look how fast William Foyle has gone through Sector 1, but he's not going to be able to complete his lap. Kilgrain's not out on track anymore. Alex Ward is warming up. He came in rather late, so he probably hasn't learnt the track just yet. But these will be your classified results here for the Hockenheim qualifying session in your grid for Heat 1. Alex Foyle and William Foyle on the front row, with Ian Deeney in 3rd and Jamie Dory in 4th. Mark Hayman in 5th with Alexander Jakobsen 6th. Hockenheim in 7th with Ben Payne in 8th place. Jeff Perkis lining up 9th with Ollie Hansen 10th. John Dowling lines up 11th with Albin Kilgren 12th. We'll get those results back up for you. As I say every week, it's just what Raceroom does. It moves us on very quickly. So there you go. Resume where we were. 12th was Albin Kilgren. Roll TK in 13th, and alongside him, Jürgen Masby Pedersen. Gabriel Lopez in 15th, and Alex Ward, who I think is still getting to grips with the track. And little did I know he's a next-gen racing driver. Maybe that's recent news. He's in 16th. So there we go. It was Alex Foyle in the Shell Helix livery who scored pole position. First pole position of the year for the BMW, it seems, as he gets his starts warmed up on the second straightaway of the track. His cars go blistering past him. Yes, the traction control in these cars, whilst it's good, it blasts you off the line very well, it can be a little bit tricky to tame, particularly when there's a short run to race, turn number 1. These drivers are certainly want to get the most of that. It's a very tricky turn 1, we have to say. Fairly narrow on this track, particularly on that section of the track. And it's quite a tricky corner anyway. It's prone to running wide. It's got some very bumpy curves which can upset the car. So turn 1 will be one to watch on this opening lap coming up. The opening lap of most races, actually, it probably will be one to watch. Here we go. Drivers are lining up on the grid. This is round 5, race 1 of the night at the Hockenheimring for the Crest Autosport Raceroom League's DTM 2020 League. My name is Alex Everett, your commentator at Crest Autosport today. Welcome to the stream. If whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube or Twitch, give us a like and a subscribe. And let us know who you think is going to win this opening race of the day, if you can be bothered. It's an iconic front straight running into turn 1 here at Hockenheim. A very short blast, and as we said, one the drivers will want to get the upper hand on everyone nice and early into that turn 1. So here we go, drivers are lined up on the grid. Alex Foyle, pole position. Alongside him is his brother, William Foyle. Lights are red. Away we go. Good start for Alex Foyle there, but a bad start for William Foyle as Ian Deeney gets alongside him on the outside, and into turn 1 we go. William Foyle drops to 3rd, but all the drivers seem to get through nice and sound. Ben Payne is dropping down the order back there. Might have been a slowdown already. He's very slow back there. But through turn 2 we go. Ian Deeney already trying on Alex Foyle on his inside, now coming around the Parabolica. Right on the rear of him now is Ian Deeney. DRS will not be open yet as it's the opening lap. Breaking into the hairpin we go now. William Foyle's up his inside, nice and early to get back 2nd place, and through he goes, and back there Hockenheim was alongside Jamie Dory. Jamie Dory, who has dropped down to 5th behind Mark Hayman. Ian Deeney dropped down to 3rd place, but a promising start for him in the Gavra Racing Shell Helix DTM machine there in the BMW. The BMW's doing very well here. There's a lot of them in the top 10 and a lot of them in the top 6. Oh, and wide back there goes Jamie Dory. There was a car off there. I think that was Alex Ward spun in the chicane, waiting for everyone to pass by. Not a good start to Alex Ward's day, but he is acclimatising to the car and the track, I do believe. Alex Foyle will presumably lead, touch wood, at the end of this lap. With William Foyle not far behind, and likewise with Ian Deeney. Across the line. DRS is open. Ready, should I say, for Ian Deeney and William Foyle. Down towards turn 2. Mark Hayman back there in 4th place will want to gain on these considerably. Here's Navalov up the inside of Jamie Dory. Jamie Dory will try the undercut. Beamer versus Beamer at the moment. And Navalov completes the move for the time being, but Jamie Dory will probably have DRS. Actually, he might not, as he was a fair way behind. But look at this. This is Deeney alongside on the outside of William Foyle going into the hairpin. A little bit of contact is made. Nothing to worry about. But Deeney's not able to complete the move. And up the inside, we saw there. Oh, that was John Dowling on the inside of Jamie Dory. And Navalov might have got taken out in the process as John Dowling waits for him to pass by. And that's causing all sorts of concertina there behind him as John Dowling lets the driver go. But that promotes Jeff Perkis up to 5th place, and Jamie Dory lost out to 6th place. Navalov loses to 8th, but Roll TK gets in amongst it here. He's up to 7th place. But back at the front, Ian Deeney still pressing on William Foyle, who's let Alex Foyle slip away a little bit at the front there, nearly a second ahead, which would be good for Alex Foyle, as it would mean William Foyle's out of DRS range. Roll TK down to 8th, had to back off because the curve there is very nasty on that S curve. But Navalov gets himself back into 7th and can try and catch back up with Jamie Dory, whom he tried the move on earlier on. But an encounter with John Dowling put a doubt to that. Alex Foyle's doing very well at the front here, more than a second clear of his brother in 2nd place. He's got Ian Deeney and Mark Hayman to worry about. Hayman has closed in on Ian Deeney in the last lap or so. Jamie Dory working on trying to get back up towards Jeff Perkis, who didn't have the best of qualifying. He never does. Jeff Perkis does have a good qualifying session, but he's always good in the races, getting himself through the field. He did it so well at Raceroom last week in the 92s. Nice early turn in for the hairpin. I thought he overshot that, but he didn't. It seemed to be a pretty good corner from Jeff Perkis as we follow him along this straight. The green Audi into the chicane here. A slow down penalty for Gabriel Lopez. Probably come too wide coming out the hairpin back there. Oh, as Perkis had to back off a little bit coming through the chicane there as Dory closes in. Both, according to the data there, next gen teammates. Ben Payne battling with John Dowling back there. Both of these drivers will not be pleased with their positions here, but Ben Payne up the inside as we enter the arena. He gets himself up to 4th place. This really isn't the kind of positions that Dowling and Payne expect themselves to be at, but something they'll probably want to work on throughout the night is getting further up the order. A good lap there from William Foyle, closing in a little bit on Alex Foyle. Within a second, just outside of a second as we were watching them come into turn 2 there. And Mark Hayman has dropped off a little bit, more than a second behind Ian Deeney there. DRS open for Ian. And reverse grid contention is something we need to think about in this first heat, with less than half the race to go already. As Roll TK is in 8th place here right now. He'll get pole position for Heat 1 as it stands, but he's got Jürgen Madsby Pedersen in the Robert Kubica livery there. And Danish colours, which I only just noticed, which is bad for me because I do love my flags and vexillology. He's there in 9th, gunning down the Netherlands driver in front of him. Foyle drops off a little bit from Alex Foyle again. It's a bit of a game of chess between them two, even though they're brothers and teammates. William Foyle has got to push hard as Ian Deeney, who's looking to get his championship back on track, as every now and again in some races it's taken a bit of a turn for the worse, with punctures in the Lauschitzring race and a few contact encounters in the 92s in past races. But Deeney, with the drop rounds applied after today, might find himself much further up the championship than he might think he is. We'll find out after today, of course. But looking at this battle for 5th here, Jamie Dory still trying to hunt down Jeff Perkis. Jamie Dory with an impressive debut this week here. He was very impressive on his return last week, and it's a spin for Jamie Dory. Just pushed a bit too hard, and that'll drop him down. It might drop him down out of the top 8 here. It does, down to 9th place for him, and that promotes this man to 8th place. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen, who at the moment is on course to get a pole position in Heat 2, unless Jamie Dory can get his head down and work on catching back up. And look at this, a 3 wide down here. That is John Dowling, Albin Kilgren and Gabriel Lopez. Lopez slows down. Oh, look at this. Terrible lunge up the inside from John Dowling, and there was a contact from Gabriel Lopez on them as well. Something's not right with John Dowling today, as it happened earlier on in the race, and it happened just then. Slowing down to let the driver of Ollie Jansen back past, but John Dowling, it's not gone well for him today. Drivers around him will not be best pleased with that, be wondering what happened there. But they all get away. Ben Payne gets away probably better than most have. He's 11th. And he's hunting down Alexander Jakobsen. Now Foyle and Deeney closing in on Alex Foyle. Mark Hayman dropping off from these two still. Probably about 2 laps remaining in this race. And Foyle within 7/10 of his brother. Stretches away a little bit from Deeney behind him. And I believe John, yes, there is John Dowling. Another spin there. It's really not happening for him today. As he retires to the pits, something clearly not right with the Audi underneath him today. I'm sure he'll fix it for the races coming up later today. But look at this, William Foyle real closing in on his brother Alex Foyle right now. Deeney's not giving up here. He's within a second of the leader, as the timing tower displayed just a moment ago. Foyle going very wide there, coming out of the arena, trying to use every bit of tarmac to try and catch up. And it will come down to this final lap between these three. It's probably been the best performance of BMW to date. Alex Foyle with a few race wins this season. He's the Heat 2 master, is Alex Foyle, as he won Brands Hatch, Oschersleben and Lausitzring Heat 2 races, but didn't 2 weeks ago at Salzburgring. But here we go, William Foyle, real close to his brother. This is probably the part of the track where we'll probably see if Alex Foyle hangs on to it. DRS open, push to pass on for William Foyle as he closes in on his brother. Look how much he is closing in. Here we go, Foyle goes to defend, Foyle goes to attack. Into the hairpin we go. Outside goes William Foyle, he outbrakes him and is able to get into the apex, but still runs wide. Alex Foyle gives him plenty of room, but William Foyle has the better run out of the corner with the better line and gets himself into the lead of this race. Alex Foyle from pole position has dropped to second on this final lap here. Deeney's not close enough to make a move just yet, but has Alex Foyle got any retort to his brother on this final lap? The championship leader back in the lead of this race. Going to come down to these final few corners here, as William is really hooking up a good lap here. Oh, not a good corner there. Alex Foyle closes in, but this might be his last opportunity. He won't go for the move. He's not close enough. Final few corners for William Foyle. Last corner here, and William hooks it up very well, and that'll be it. William Foyle will win this opening race of the day at Hockenheim. Alex Foyle just misses out for second place. Ian Deeney, he'll be pleased with third place there for his championship. Mark Hayman comes across the line fourth. He'll be disappointed to see William promote himself to first place in that race, but fourth, still good points for him nonetheless. Jeff Perkis comes through in fifth place, coming up from, I think it was ninth on the grid. Heike Navalov in 6th, Roll TK 7th, who will join Jürgen Madsby Pedersen on the front row of the grid in Heat 2. Ben Payne in 9th, followed by Alexander Jakobsen. Orban Kjellgren 11th, and we missed it, but something happened to Jamie Dory as he dropped even further down to 12th on that final lap of the race. 13th went to Gabriel Lopez, Ollie Hansen next, and non-finishers were John Dowling and Alex Ward. But your race winner, unsurprisingly, yet again, it is William Foyle, who has won all but one of the opening heats of the nights in these 2020s. He didn't win at Salzburg Ring 2 weeks ago. That went to Jeff Perkins with a move on the final lap by himself. William Foyle won Brands Hatch, Oschersleben and the Lauschitzring Heat 1. But this is a good start to William Foyle's continued campaign to win the championship. 66 points coming into tonight ahead of Mark Hayman, and that'll certainly help. We have race 2 coming up very, very shortly, once the server ticks over. There we go. There are your classified results. Here at Hockenheimring, William Foyle wins with Alex Foyle in 2nd, Ian Deeney finishing off the podium. But your pole position sitter for race 2 will be Jürgen Madsby Pedersen, who finished 8th in that race. Fastest lap went to Alex Foyle. So there we go. That is your pole sitter right there, Jürgen Madsby Pedersen. I'm sure the nerves tingling in that car there, because he never likes being on pole position, does Jürgen, but you've got to give it a go at some point. You've got to give winning the races a go if that's what you want to do as a racing driver. So what I'm saying in a polite way is go for it, Jürgen. Winning for a very impressive final lap there. Not so quick in the start of that race, but it really came into power on the final half of that race, where he reeled in his brother to take the move on the final lap of the race. Alex Foyle, who's 5th in the championship, was hampered by a DNF earlier on in the season at Brands Hatch with the feature race. But with drop rounds in play, that might not be so bad for him, as the rest of the season he's actually had some pretty good results. Just before we get ready for race 2, there are other leagues you can check out. If you search Crest Autosport on Facebook, you'll find other leagues we run. There's including iRacing, Dirt Rally 2, Assetto Corsa, Automobilista 2, and Assetto Corsa. I may have mentioned that already. But there's plenty of leagues on offer to watch and to take part in. But here we go, this is race 2, Heat 2, Hockenheimring, and the drivers are on the grid. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen on pole position, Raul TK alongside him, lights are red. Away we go. Good start for Jürgen Madsby Pedersen there, gets away very well. A bad start for Raul TK on the inside there. Heike Navaluf takes second, going into turn 1. Ian Deeney there, alongside Alex Foyle. William Foyle's back there, and there's a wide running BMW of Albin Kjellgren there. But into turn 1 they go. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen leads the way. A little bit tentative coming out the corner there. That's Roll TK. Recovering in third place there, but look at that. Heike Navaluf got a big run on Madsby Pedersen here, coming round the Parabolica. No DRS yet, but we'll find the inside going into the hairpin. The latest of the breakers is Jürgen, but turns across. Oh, and Heike Navaluf did have to avoid to go onto the grass, but still hangs on. Madsby Pedersen is still in first place, and look at this, a three-wide situation between Foyle and Deeney. And William Foyle got a better run coming out the hairpin. Will find his way ahead of Alex Foyle. Perkis gets himself ahead of Roll TK there. Oh, at the inside, Alex Foyle of Ian Deeney. And look at this big carnage there. Navaluf and Foyle taking a spin there. Recovering to get away again. And there's a little bit of contact with Alex Foyle going on there. Was that Alex Foyle? Yes, it was, yeah. But away goes Jürgen Madsby Pedersen at the front there. He'll lead his first lap of the season if he can get around this corner fairly well. But Mark Hayman all the way up to second place already. Brilliant second race so far from him. But the man who wins all the second races this season, Alex Foyle, doesn't look to be this time. But Jürgen Madsby Pedersen leads here at Hockenheimring. Mark Hayman right behind, going to charge him down in an effort. William Foyle, the race 1 winner, is there in 5th. Ben Payne with a brilliant comeback so far is in 6th here. Oh, and a big undercut from Ian Deeney on Jeff Perkis there. Gets up the inside and well and truly past him. At the front there, Pedersen already defending from Mark Hayman. Still watching Deeney here. We got to look back to Jamie Dory as well, right behind Jakobsen as they get him ahead of TK, but that's Mark Hayman making his way past Jürgen Madsby Pedersen on the straight, coming out the hairpin, and into the lead goes Mark Hayman with Ian Deeney in 3rd place right behind Pedersen. This is currently 2 podiums in a row as it stands for Ian Deeney as he gets an undercut on Pedersen, and will now try to get the inside coming up to the arena. He gets just about past him. Pedersen slightly turning across on Deeney there as they approach the braking zone, but Deeney's able to get past and into 2nd place. Jeff Perkis here took a look to the inside but wasn't able to make it, and he's got William Foyle right behind him, hounding him down. But Mark Hayman will lead the way and has a bit of a gap behind him, and we know Mark Hayman well. He'll be tricky to catch. Across the line he goes. Back there, Jamie Dory, a good recovery so far to 8th place, right behind Jakobsen, and a cushion in front of him to TK, who's dropped from 2nd to 9th so far in this race. And look at this is William Foyle taking a look to Jeff Perkis already. As Perkis tries the outside. Oh, there might have been a little bit of contact there. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen spins, and his opportunity, a good place, a good battle with the front runners there, hampered as he takes a spin coming out of turn 3. I'm not sure if there was contact there. I can't jump to conclusions on that, but I'm sure some of the stewards will have to look into after the race. But Jeff Perkis promoted to 4th, and William Foyle tried to move on him but goes wide coming out of the hairpin. We'll get a slow down for that continued track limits abuse, which is a big warning from the virtual stewards. We'll have to serve that, and gets back into 4th place of what was a brave attempt on Jeff Perkis by the looks of things. But he's got Ben Payne, Jakobsen and Dory behind to worry about. Jakobsen's taking a spin coming out the hairpin there. Oh, he nearly rejoined right in front of TK. Had to be very careful there. Rejoins and lets most pass, and that's Pedersen going past him there, and Navaluf. So a top 8 potential hampered there for Navaluf. Mark Hayman still leading away. Deeney closing in ever so slightly. Now Deeney was much quicker than Hayman in race 1, so it's going to be a tricky one for Deeney with only half the race to go, but he'll give it a go nonetheless. I'm sure he will. Jeff Perkis still there in 3rd place. William Foyle around him, and that looked to be a spin from Navaluf on the final corner there as he recovers. But back with battle for 3rd, William Foyle, And Jeff Perkins, a little bit of a twitchy rear end on William Foyle's car there. DRS open, push to pass enabled. Closes in on the green Audi. William Foyle's got a bit more weight on board, so he probably won't close in as much as others would on him. But look at that late braking from William Foyle on the outside. Still pushed a little bit too hard into the hairpin. Jeff Perkins hands on. Into the first arena here with a big grandstand right ahead of them. The sharp left-hander there. Oh, twitchy rear end for both cars. Perkins just about hanging on there. And look at that, William Foyle around the outside. I'm not sure if there's contact there, but Jeff Perkins nearly lost it. Look at that, Jamie Dory's going to try and get past him now. He does. Into the arena he goes, and Ben Payne's now up the inside of Jeff Perkins. Perkins dropped 3 places in a matter of 2 corners. And that promotes these 2 drivers of Ben Payne and Jamie Dory into the top 5, and Perkins out of it. But now Foyle can get his head down and try and work back up towards Ian Deeney, 3 seconds up the road from him, who hasn't closed in much on Mark Hayman in this lap. In fact, has dropped away from him. Good leading from the front from Mark Hayman so far, out of DRS range. Ben Payne, good recovery in this race. A disappointing first race we saw from him and reported upon, as did Jamie Dory, but well and truly in the action right now with a good potential finish on the cards for them with just over 3 minutes to go. Alex Ward is making progress, and a DNF in the first race has worked his way back up to 11th. And look at this, this is Ian Deeney alongside Mark Hayman. Coming out the hairpin they go, side by side, and Mark Hayman has himself ahead just a little bit. Deeney's still on the inside technically. Coming into the corner they go. Hayman gives him room, but gets back in front. I'm not sure how Deeney closed in that much in that short space of time. It surprised all of us, even me. But he's challenging for the lead now. Is Ian Deeney? On board with him into the arena. Slow down penalty for Navalov back there in 12th place. Deeney, whose results this season have been fairly impressive, but none quite as enlightening as this. He had a 2nd place. His only podium of the season came in Oschersleben in race 2. He's been hampered with a few DNFs here and there this season. Most notably at Lauschitzring, where he was battling for 2nd place with Payne, Hayman, and I think it was Jakobsen. Oh no, Alex Foyle, sorry, and Jeff Perkins actually. But this is certainly a much better meeting from Deeney so far, with approximately 2 laps to go. Look at this. DRS and push to pass as he makes his way alongside. Hayman goes to defend the inside line. Deeney will try the undercut, but Hayman hangs on to that inside, and Deeney wasn't able to get the powerful exit. Hayman was, however, so a nice safe approach to that corner from Hayman to guard his lead. Perkins slips his way past Payne by the looks of it. Payne, who must have run wide at the hairpin, recovering there. Deeney right on the rear of Hayman. Foyle is closing in ever so slightly per lap. He might not be enough to catch him unless they start battling intensely. Mark Hayman, who only has 1 win to his name this season, and that was the feature race in Brands Hatch, round 1. He's had many a podium though, 7 top 3 finishes this season for Mark Hayman. That's where he's racked up the points and got himself 2nd in the championship, battling for the lead as they start their final lap here. Deeney's got 1 more lap. A few opportunities around this track, as wide there is Alex Ward recovering in the arena there. But we've got to get back with the front 2 here. Deeney will have DRS and push to pass enabled. Hayman goes to defend the inside yet again. Deeney takes a little bit more slipstream, gets a bit closer to him. Hugs the inside a little bit more. Won't be able to get an undercut here, or will he? Oh, it's not a bad exit. Oh no, and he spins it! Into the wall he goes, Ian Deeney slips it coming out the corner. Excuse me, a bit too excited then. But a potential race win ruined there for Ian Deeney as he pushed just a little bit too hard coming out of that corner, and the rear end just gave way on him. Drops to 6th at the moment. But that lets Mark Hayman break away. It's a second between him and William Foyle, but it shouldn't be much to worry about at this point. It looked like a very good run for Ian Deeney, but just pushed a little bit too hard. Will Foyle has done valiantly to catch up with these guys, or this guy, but this guy has won the race here. Mark Hayman takes his second win of the season, his first heat win. Heat 2 here at Hockenheimring goes to Mark Hayman. William Foyle takes second place. Jamie Dory, a brilliant comeback from the race, from race 1. I think it was 12th to 3rd for him. Brilliant for him. Jeff Perkins takes 4th with Ben Payne in 5th. Ian Deeney, so unlucky on that final lap, takes 6th. Still a good result. Alex Foyle with a bit of drama early on, as you can see with his front bumper there, takes 7th place. Roll TK, 8th place, another top 8 finish for him. Ollie Janssen just behind in 9th place. Alexander Jakobsen, 10th. Heike Navalov in 11th. Jürgen Madsby Pedersen, oh, what could have been for him? Was battling with the guys up front, and a slight mistake potentially, or contact, one or the other, early on in the race put him out of the running. He finishes 12th. Gabriel Lopez will come through 13th, and Alex Ward struggling today in 14th. John Dowling and Orban Kjellgren, non-finishers in this race, unfortunately. John Dowling not having a good meeting, unfortunately for him. But there we go, that has been Heat 1 and 2. Round up the results now before we nip away. Mark Hayman, your race winner, with William Foyle in 2nd and Jamie Dory in 3rd place. Remember, the qualifying results from earlier on will determine the grid for the feature race in just a few moments' time. We'll be going away now for a quick interval. We'll be back very, very shortly. Thank you for watching so far. The GP Box is an online marketplace for motorsports merchandise and memorabilia. Browse for a whole range of motorsports products in all forms of motorsport. Take Formula 1 for example. There is a whole section dedicated to Formula 1 products from your favourite drivers, cars, teams or tracks from all eras of Formula 1. There are more series available, including WRC if you are a rally fan. You can even search for your favourite form of motorsport to see what products they have in your favourite forms of motorsport. Or, if yourself are a retailer in motorsport, you could set up your own shop within the GP Box to open up your products to a much bigger motorsport audience. Find out more at thegpbox.com. Welcome back to the Hockenheimring for the Crest Autosport DTM 2020 Raceroom League. Sponsored by the GP Box. You saw the advert just then. Hope you enjoyed it. But they are the online motorsport marketplace for memorabilia and merchandise motorsport related. All our partners on the bottom there, huge thank you to them for supporting our leagues as well. There is Track Racer UK for your sim racing needs, rigs, monitor stands, the like. 603 Autosport for digital innovations for track day and promotional cars. Freem UK karting apparel and racewear. And lovely stickers for sim racing, steering wheel, rims and bases. Stickers made from real life liveries for your sim racing rigs. Here we are at the Hockenheimring, 2.8 mile circuit, where the original layout was a 4.4 mile where it stretched into the forest. This is almost a cut in half version of that track and has hosted many a Formula One races over the years, including the dramatic 2019 Formula One German Grand Prix. And every year the DTM come here, as it is one of the pinnacles of German racing. Coming up very, very shortly is the feature race, which will be 30 minutes, triple the duration of the race you saw previously. Triple the duration means triple the points. That is what's on offer for these drivers coming into this race. And the grids are based on the qualifying results you saw earlier, which we'll recap very shortly. We're in round 5 of the 2020s. Next week, a week today, tune in for the 5th round of the 92s, which will be at the Autodrom Moss circuit in Czechia. And then, in 2 weeks from today, it'll be the final race of the season in the 2020s at the Nürburgring GP circuit, where it'll all be tailed off and the champion will be crowned. So here we go, drivers getting ready for the final race of the night. The sun sets in Germany here at the Hockenheimring. So, as we mentioned, qualifying results decide where you start for Heat 1, but also this feature race, which is coming up very, very shortly. And this is what happened in qualifying earlier on. It was Alex Foyle who took honours and will line up pole position. William Foyle will line up second, with Ian Deeney in third. Jamie Dory, who had a great comeback in race 2, will line up on 4th position. Mark Hayman will take 5th. He was the winner of race 2. Alexander Jakobsen in 6th, with Heike Navalov in 7th. Ben Payne with a good comeback in race 2 will start 8th, with Jeff Perkis a good progression throughout the night. He's in 9th. Ollie Jansen in 10th, with John Dowling. A bit of a disappointing night for him so far. He'll line up 11th. Orwin Kjellgren in 12th. Roll TK in 13th. Jürgen Mansby Pedersen 14th. Gabriel Lopez in 15th. And Alex Ward will line up 16th. So here we go. A little bit of housekeeping before we get underway with the remainder of tonight's racing. Informal entries are open for the Crest Autosport's TCR Spa 50 event, which will take place in late April, early May. So do join our Raceroom group to get involved, or keep an eye on the action for this forthcoming event. We also have a WTCR League coming up, 12 rounds on a tour of Europe. Will take place from mid-May through until early August, which also ends at the Hockenheimring. Rather appropriate that we've mentioned that today. There are plenty of other Crest Autosport sims on offer by us, including Automobilista 2, which is hosting Thursday nights and Sunday nights. We have this, of course, the Raceroom League, running on Tuesday nights. Wednesday nights is starting tomorrow, which will be Assetto Corsa. And Sunday nights starting soon, we have an iRacing League. So plenty to get involved in. So here we go, the drivers will line up on the grid. Some drivers haven't made it to the grid, which is very odd, but nonetheless, the racing will get underway with the drivers we have got. This is round 5, the feature race at Hockenheimring. Alex Foyle is in the Shell Helix livery, you can see on the right there, and on the left in the black Audi livery is William Foyle, his brother. Here we go. Drivers on the grid. Alex Foyle is on pole position. William Foyle second. Lights are red. Away we go. Good start for Alex Foyle. Is it a better start from William Foyle? Yes, he is. He comes straight across to guide from Ian Deeney as we go into turn 1 here at Hockenheim. There is Jamie Dory back there. And everyone seems to get through turn 1 rather safely, but it's Alex Foyle who leads away at the front here, going into turn 2 now. William Foyle follows behind. Ian Deeney slipping up in race 2 we saw earlier, comes out in 3rd at the moment. That's Mark Hayman guarding off from Jamie Dory and Heike Navalov right behind him. Navalov is on his inside, on Jamie Dory's inside should I say. Hayman defending off from a lot of drivers here. Jeff Perkins as well getting involved. And look at this, a 3-wide situation. Jamie Dory later on the brakes. And look at this at the front as well. William Foyle is trying to get past Alex Foyle, and he does. Ian Deeney with a slippery rear end coming out of the hairpin. Stays in 3rd, and Jamie Dory gets himself alongside Mark Hayman. Coming into the chicane, he'll definitely hold this as long as he keeps hold of the car. Jamie Dory gets himself into 4th place ahead of the 2nd place runner, Mark Hayman. Jeff Perkins right behind in 6th place there. Oh, and there's a spin back there. That's John Dowling. He just cannot hook it together today. And it's a retirement already for John Dowling. It's an abysmal day for him. Something not right with that rig underneath him. I'm sure he'll be back next week with much more promising results for him. But the show goes on. Deeney in 3rd, right behind Alex Foyle. Into turn 1 they go. A long race ahead of them. Continued track limits abuse for Mark Hayman there, who's in 5th place. On board with Ian Deeney. DRS open for the first time of this race. Now the feature races have been a bit of a mixed bag. There's been races where drivers have just gone for it, races where drivers have had to consume their tyres, or conserve their tyres should I say. Oh, look at Alex Foyle, went very wide at the hairpin there. Let's by Jamie Dory, and Jamie Dory gets his way by Ian Deeney. Into 2nd place goes Jamie Dory. A brilliant start to this race so far from the next gen racing driver. And up the inside, Alex Foyle back up on Ian Deeney, side by side. Managed to get through the corner safely, and Jeff Perkins has got himself ahead of Mark Hayman. Hayman, who's won race 2, has slipped back to 6th so far. 13 runners left in this race. Oh, look how wide the drivers back here are going. That was Jakobsen and Navalov, both the Swedish drivers going wide. Coming out the right-hander there, and Ben Payne has got right in between them and getting in amongst the action. Perkins gained on Foyle considerably. And in 5th place, William Foyle, who knows how to win these feature races, leading from the front here. A very, very good opening lap. Starting 2nd didn't bother him. He's out in front at the moment. But Jamie Dory, will he close him down? We'll find out. But he's got Deeney to worry about behind him. Mark Hayman, a good recovery so far, back up with Jeff Perkins. DRS open for Ian Deeney, trying to close back in on Jamie Dory, who probably doesn't have DRS enabled. Doesn't. He has a push to pass available. Look at this at the inside. Ian Deeney goes off Jamie Dory. Broke a bit too late. Has to understeer away. And now dropping well down. And Deeney, another mishap, which drops him down the order. He's back down to 6th place. And that promotes Alex Foyle. Well, it did promote Alex Foyle to 3rd. But look at that. Jeff Perkins gets the opportunity moment. Into 3rd he goes. the Jeff Perkins green machine. Just ahead of Alex Foyle there. Brilliant progress for Jeff Perkins so far, who I think I'm going to have to flick it up to remind myself where he started. Jeff Perkins started 9th position, so up to 3rd place already. And look at that, that's Jamie Dory gone wide. That's going to lose him time from William Foyle, but also losing time to Jeff Perkins. Perkins, who's had a bit of a treat on this lap, getting himself up to 3rd place. Had a bit of a treat ahead of him potentially there with 2nd place. Jeff Perkins, you've got to say, has a lot more experience than Jamie Dory in these cars, but Jamie Dory's just got pure pace in any car he drives. On his debut to the championship, the 2020 side of the championship, DRS already open for Jeff Perkins. He defends a little bit from Alex Foyle going into turn 2. And look at that, Navaluf and Ben Payne closing in on this battle here, as is Jakobsen. So it could be an 8-way battle for 2nd place if these drivers aren't careful. This is Alexander Foyle we're on board with. That's Jeff Perkins ahead of him. Perkins goes to the inside of Jamie Dory. Foyle couldn't choose the inside or the middle, so he had to back out of here. There was no room. Oh, look at that. Jeff Perkins goes wide, and the undercut from Alex Foyle takes 2 of them in the hairpin. Brilliant move from Alex Foyle. And back up the inside goes Jamie Dory. Towards the arena we go, and Foyle has to let him go. Foyle has 40 kilos of ballast as he qualified on pole position. Oh, and that was a near late slip up from Foyle there, as he had to evade from Jamie Dory going into the left-hander there. But Dory just about hangs on to it. He had Perkins to worry about, and then he had Alex Foyle to worry about, but a good exit from that hairpin, got him back into 2nd place. And all this is allowing William Foyle to just cruise away up front. The feature race maestro is William Foyle, and is looking to be another here today, unless anything dramatic does happen. Perkins trying the inside of Deeney going into turn 1. Foyle into turn 1. Not the ideal overtaking opportunity, and look at that. It wasn't a very good entry for Jeff Perkins as Hayman closed in, not able to make a move. Oh, and Foyle slips up a little bit. Oh, and Jeff Perkins tags him, and now round goes Alex Foyle. Drops down. Where's Alex Foyle? He's dropping down the order. I can't click on him. There he is. Oh no, and there was a little bit of contact from Jeff Perkins, and Perkins is slowing down to let him back pass. Good courtesy from Jeff Perkins there, but both their races ruined as the consequence. But we'll see if Alex Foyle can get himself back up the order, see what he can do. Jamie Dory out on his own in 2nd place there. He has got a 2nd buffer to Mark Hayman behind him. He's worrying about Ian Deeney right now. 3 seconds between Dory and Foyle. We'll have to monitor that and see how that progresses. But Jeff Perkins and Alex Foyle, a sad coming together for them. Jeff Perkins just locked up a little bit going into turn 2. It looked like he couldn't have quite avoid Alex Foyle. But it promotes Mr. Payne, Navaluf and Jakobsen up 2 places. Into the top 5 goes Ben Payne, and Jamie Dory spun just on the drag strip there. We didn't catch that, unfortunately. But Jamie Dory, he can't cut it. He just can't catch a break. Down to 7th he goes, and that promotes Mark Hayman and Deeney onto 2nd and 3rd. These 3, Payne, Navaluf and Jakobsen, up another place. Inherited a lot in this race. Ben Payne has finished in the top 5 a lot this season, has earned himself 4th in the championship as a result. And another one on the potential here today. 5 times he's finished in the top 5, and we saw a move there just then from Jakobsen on Navaluf. He completed it very, very well, you've got to say. Into 5th place goes Jakobsen, and Deeney right behind Hayman still. Deeney has been brilliant today with his pace. So unlucky on that final lap of the previous race. Nearing the third waypoint of this feature race. William Foyle is more than 5 seconds clear. You just saw him over the horizon of that crest there, going around the final corner, and finishes lap 6 here. Sorry, yeah, finishes lap 6 and on to lap 7. 5 seconds clear of these three here. Ben Payne real closing in on Deeney and Mark Hayman here. Hayman very slow coming out of turn 1 there, but is able to hold off from Deeney going into turn 2. Very late on the brakes is Deeney. Had to lock up a little bit just to avoid him. And this will be a bit of a battle between these three down this back straight. Oh, and it's a spin from Deeney! Deeney spins going on to the parabolica. DRS open too early, hits the barrier. Another mistake from Deeney, drops him out of contention. Oh, Deeney. It just won't end for him. When will he get his big break? When will he get it? He has so much potential to do it. And Navalov promoted to 5th place. Jakobsen promoted to 4th. Ben Payne promoted into the top 3. Back on board with Jeff Perkins, who has made his way past Deeney. Deeney is back down there with who he was battling with at the start of the race, Foyle and Perkins. These two will have a bit less damage on the car than Deeney, who lets by Ole Janssen. Janssen struggling today. He did say he's much better in the 92s, but struggling more so than he has done in these 2020s today. Oh, and there's a spin for Royal TK there. Back in 13th position. He gets it going again. Knows that big points are on offer for finishing these races. DNF scores you 0, and you can score near on 100 for finishing these races and finishing these well. So it really is important that you get the finishes in. Ben Payne, his eyes have lit up with the amount of cars he's passed inherited positions off, getting himself into the top 3 here. He'll take it though. It's good for his championship. As 3rd place was swiped away from him after Salzburgring by Jeff Perkins, who won race 1 and got runner-up in the feature race. Here we go. Ben Payne is making his way alongside Mark Hayman. Takes a late entry. Oh, and it's so difficult to get the car out of that hairpin, particularly when you want to try the undercut. The number 10 machine there, still not close enough to Hayman to make a move. Let's look back there to Jeff Perkins, who is still right behind Alex Foyle. A bit of a battle between them two for 6th place now. Jeff Perkins let him by Alex Foyle earlier for hitting him and spinning him, but will still resume the battle. Into the final corner they go. Will Foyle starts lap 9. Approaching the halfway point. And we know by now these drivers do not bother with pit stops. They brave it to the end on these tyres, which become so worn by the end of the race, and you have to be so careful in the latter part of the race not to make your tyres tick over to 0% for too long and cause a puncture. We saw that happen to Ian Deeney at the Raceroom. We've seen it happen to other drivers in the 92s and these. But these are competitors. They'll go for whatever position is on offer to them, whichever position they can get themselves to. 7 seconds clear is William Foyle from Mark Hayman now, and this is still the battle for 6th, enduring between Perkins and Foyle. Perkins makes his way past on the straight, breaking into the hairpin, holds the inside. Foyle will not try the undercut. He lets by Jeff Perkins into 6th place. Alex Ward in the Kubica machine versus Pedersen in the Kubica machine, and an undercut from Ward there. Ward, who did finish race 2, in fact didn't finish race 1. He's eased his way into much better pace in this feature race. Has Alex. Was the star of last week's show at the Raceroom in the 92 machines, driving the unpredictable Mustang. Look at this, Jakobsen and Navalov working together. They've caught right up to Ben Payne and Hayman, so it might be another four-way battle for second place soon if we're lucky enough. Let's see what these two can do as we descend into the second half of the race in just under a minute's time. Jakobsen, who we mentioned earlier, hasn't had the best of results this season, has had a few hit and miss races. Maybe this is redemption time for him as he goes late, breaking into the hairpin, actually gets it up the inside of Ben Payne. Payne doesn't give him much room, but Jakobsen, you have to say, got well and truly up the inside there. Into third place, Jakobsen has gone. Ben Payne's not going to give up though. Jakobsen stays in third for the moment. Ben Payne doesn't put it up the inside, going into the left-hander here. Jakobsen is into third place, but that makes Mark Hayman pull away slightly in second there. I have to say that was a very cunning move from Jakobsen. I don't think Ben Payne saw it coming, and he's got Navalov to worry about behind him as well. Into the sash curve they go. Navalov, who had a few incidents today, a few spins, a bit of contact with Alex Foyle earlier on. But doing much better in this race, in fifth at the moment. DRS open for Ben Payne already. Why do you do this, Raceroom? Past he goes on Jakobsen. Jakobsen must have made a mistake through turn one. Oh, and it's a spin for Jakobsen. Keeps it going just about. He'll have to recover and catch back up, but just about got away with that, did Jakobsen. That promotes Navalov to fourth place, and Ben Payne safer in third now. Has to try and work on himself to catch back up with Mark Hayman up there. Oh, that was a bit of a touchy moment from Jakobsen, and Jamie Dory's in the pits taking on tyres. Leaves the pits. Now Dory was far down anyway as a result of his spin earlier, so taking tyres on is not a gamble per se, but it's just eliminating the risk of spinning some more will be what Dory's thinking, I reckon. Now Navalov has to take over the reins from Jakobsen to work on beating the Brits. Navalov started the season real well, battling with William Foyle early on in the season. Has let results slip away from a little bit. And now we're watching Jeff Perkins, who him and Alex Foyle still battling. Foyle back ahead. The two still quite a long way behind the top five. If they can catch him, they'll be pleased about that, but it might be off their minds right now. And that was Jakobsen there. Well, we just said about the top five, then Foyle's in it now, but Jakobsen, it must have been a spin coming out of turn one. Cruising on the inside, a bit of damage on that front end. Bad to worse for Jakobsen as he drops to 8th place. Navalov gaining on Ben Payne ahead of him. Has done very well in the last 2 laps actually to gain on Payne. Into the left-hander they go. Nice smooth driving from Navalov so far. Just can't push it too hard in these cars. As we've seen with many drivers throughout today, it just ends your race almost straight away. Very tricky track on cooling temperatures right now. Sunset over Hockenheimring. William Foyle, what a race this has been for him so far. 9 seconds clear of Mark Hayman. He really is charging towards that championship, is William Foyle. On course for another feature race win. His 4th it will be of the 2020s. And in the 92s, he's won 3 feature races there as well. So he's on his way to his 7th right now. A real impressive record. Jakobsen trying to make his way back up a few places. Janssen there in 7th. Janssen would be pleased with 7th, as earlier on in the night it wasn't looking so good for him. But a scruffy exit to turn 2 there for Janssen. He'd be pleased with 7th so far if he can hang on to it, or even 8th place. If Jakobsen is that much quicker than him. And a slowdown for Navalov happened in the hairpin there. That drops him off a little bit from Ben Payne, who was stretched away by 1.5 seconds in the last lap or so. Payne, who's got to charge his way back towards Mark Hayman, who's only just shy of 1.5 seconds behind, as we descend into the third of the race. We watch Jakobsen. Probably taking it easier than he did earlier on. And the battle between the two Kubica cars again. Ward versus Pedersen. It's the battle for 9th. Very close between these two. Ward in the 2nd position of the 2. And a better exit from the corner than Pedersen there up the inside. And he gets ahead of Pedersen. Into 9th goes Alex Ward, and a much, much better result thus far for Alex Ward in this race. The star of Norrisring last week. And Pedersen, his moment in the light with leading the opening lap of race 2. He's had a pretty good night, you've got to say. On course for a top 10 finish at the moment. A sit rep on the front 4. And Payne has slipped off a little bit from Mark Hayman. Now the tyres will really be degraded, and degrading more and more as they do. But this is the part of the race where drivers become less concerned about who and what is around them and more what their tyres are doing. This is the part of the race where you've got to conserve them to the end. If you've used a bulk of your tyre wear earlier on in the race, you've got to save more at this latter part. Oh, and there was a spin back there. I think that was Jürgen Masby Pedersen. It is, and that'll let by Jamie Dory. Pedersen slips out of the top 10, promotes Jamie Dory to 10th. Deeney is out of this race, unfortunately. What was probably meant to be a pretty good night for Ian Deeney. It's not gone that way, but maybe Nürburgring in 2 weeks' time for him. Maybe even Autodrom Moss next week in the 92s, we'll see. And Ben Payne. Actually within a second on that lap as DRS is open for Mr. Payne. Push to pass as well. Now he has DRS enabled. He can work on closing in on Mark Hayman a lot easier than he has done. Ollie Janssen slips down to 8th place, but stays with Jakobsen for the moment. Hayman will not be so worried about the gap that's been built upon by Foyle ahead of him, who's 11 seconds clear. That's just extraordinary from William Foyle tonight. Hayman has got to hang on from Ben Payne behind him. I look back to one of the closest battles on the track. 7th versus 8th. We haven't talked about Alex Foyle and Jeff Perkis much. Alex Foyle has got away a little bit from Jeff Perkis, 6 seconds clear of him, and closing in fact, on Navalov. So 4th is still on the cards for Alex Foyle. You've got to say, with 6 minutes to go, really closing in on Navalov is Alex Foyle. And Ben Payne although DRS was enabled on the previous lap, it's still enabled here, so it must be a bit more than a second, I might be mistaken. He's not reeling in Mark Hayman as much as we thought he would, or I thought he would. But Alexander Foyle is reeling in Navalov at the moment. Foyle, we know, has had the pace in him. He's got the most ballast on board, but he got pole position in qualifying, so we know what pace is in that BMW of his as he closes in on the other BMW of Navalov. Real close, and will continue to gain. We'll stay with these two at the moment, keeping an eye on any other drama that is happening around the track. Start finish straight. Just shy of 5 minutes to go into turn one. What a big exit that was from Alex Foyle. Will he try the inside? Navalov will guard the inside. To the outside goes Alex Foyle into turn two. Much later on the brakes. Oh, and slightly turns across on Navalov. A bit of door-to-door contact, but away they go safe and sound, and Foyle will get into fourth place ahead of Navalov. Navalov might feel a little hard done by that, but away they go nonetheless. Foyle is up to fourth, and although there's only 4 minutes remaining, he's definitely not out of reach of third place Ben Payne. We'll see what he can do. Now at this latter part of the race, William Foyle is miles out in front, but it's safe to say he's relaxing at this point because he's not gaining much more away from Mark Hayman, who's maintained the 11-second gap. Measuring himself against William Foyle has probably been the best thing to do to get himself away or stay ahead of Ben Payne behind him, who has a 3-second buffer to Alex Foyle charging towards him. He's already nearly 2 seconds clear of Navalov behind him. One of the fastest guys on the track right now is Alex Foyle by the seams of it. Still a battle raging on for 7th place between the two Swedish drivers of Jakobsen and Janssen. Oh, and very wide goes Jakobsen. We'll keep an eye on them. To the hairpin. William Foyle, I said that about him, he must have heard me. He's now 12 seconds clear, so he's put the hammer down in these last few laps. And Hayman backing off, going through the usual flat-out right-hander there. Seems to be easing off a lot, does Mark Hayman at this point. And he's now being pulled in by Ben Payne. Maybe Hayman's tyres have worn off quicker than he thought. As Ben Payne, you can see in the rear view at the centre of the console there, he's not far behind now at all. Is this emergency tyre saving moments for Mark Hayman? Don't know. Probably will find out. As the third place man there reels him in. Ben Payne, although he's got his own championship to think about, William Foyle is one of his teammates, so might he consider trying to help his teammate out by getting past Mark Hayman, or will he take it safe and sound and try and get the big points that he's getting here in third place right now? Down the parabolica they go. Hayman already goes to defensive mode. Payne with a much more circular line around the hairpin, and that rear end really slippery as he gets on the power of that Audi. Hayman in this last lap or so has really, I'll say it as it is, been slow compared to Ben Payne. Words as simple as that describe what's happened here to Hayman. Oh, and they are struggling at this point. There'll only be one more lap to go this time by as William Foyle completes lap 19 to start the final lap, lap 20. But the podium is still up for grabs between these two. Alex Foyle's not far away at all either. He needs a few more laps, if anything. So this is a crucial final lap for Mark Hayman. He really is in control, you've got to say, but one mistake will cost it. Nice and clean round turn one there. Payne was even better though through turn one as he's now within half a second of Mark Hayman. I'm sure you'll have DRS and push to pass enabled on this back straight here. Hayman was a lot cleaner coming out of turn 2 there and 3. Coming down this back straight here, let's get on board with Ben Payne. He's nowhere near Mark Hayman at this point. Will not be able to close in him on this straight. He might be able to on the rest of the lap. We'll see how he gets on. On Hayman, I thought he messed up and took it too deep then. And look how close Alex Foyle is to Ben Payne. One mistake is all it's going to be from one of these guys to cost their positions. A podium up for grabs for Hayman. A podium up for grabs for Ben Payne. That was Mark Hayman. He went very wide coming out of the turn there. Managed to recover it. Coming into the stadium we go. We have to switch to our winner, who, by the way, I'm giving in. William Foyle is our GP Box driver of the day and your race 3 winner. Championship leader continues to lead the championship. William Foyle wins here at Hockenheim. Back to the battle for second place. Hayman takes it round the final corner so carefully, but look at that, Ben Payne had to cut off Alex Foyle, but it is Mark Hayman who takes second place, second in the championship, maintains his good results for a second here in the feature race, and another podium finish for Ben Payne, who has been has really come to life this season. Alex Foyle from pole position, drama early on, takes 4th place. Navalov in 5th in the end. Jeff Perkins in 6th. As William Foyle does his donuts in front of the grandstands. Jakobsen comes through in 7th in the end, with Ollie Hansen in 8th. Alex Ward, he'll be pleased he finishes this race and finishes it quite well, a 9th place for him. Across the line, he limps with those absolutely dead tyres underneath him. Jamie Dory, he can't seem to get any luck so far in the Crest Autosport Raceroom Leagues in Jamie Dory, but shown great promise today as he emphatically finishes. But there you go, there is your race 1 and race 3 winner, William Foyle, who definitely leads in the championship coming out of tonight, and he might be able to wrap it up within a few races 2 weeks time. In 2 weeks from now we'll have our champion, and it could well be this guy. Just to round off the finishes, Jürgen Madsby Persson finishes off in 11th place. Roll TK comes through in 12th. Your non-finishers are sadly Ian Deeney and John Dowling. But there you go. There's your results of tonight's feature race. Alex Foyle with the fastest lap in the end, but William Foyle takes honours with the race win and 120 points. Mark Hayman takes 2nd place, with Ben Payne in 3rd. Alex Foyle with a big charge back up through the field throughout the race takes 4th, with Navalov 5th, Jeff Perkins 6th, Jakobsen 7th, and rounding up the top 8, Ollie Hansen. This has been the Crest Autosport DTM Leagues on Raceroom, sponsored by the GP Box. Do check out all our sponsors and affiliates, links in the descriptions of these videos and live streams. In 1 week's time, we'll be at the penultimate round of the 92s, which will be at the Autodrome Moss circuit. Do tune in 1 week's time for that. And in 2 weeks from today, will be the finale of the DTM 2020s at the Nürburgring GP circuit. Thank you for watching I've been Alex Everett. This has been the Crest Autosport Raceroom Leagues on DTM. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.